Okay. Say your name again.
I'm Barlow. Shannon. Tracy.
Michelle.
Delaney.
Thank you. Okay. Today I would like to do a speech for y'all that's on persuasive speech. And the topic I've picked today is traditional books in school versus online books. What I really hope to gain from this is to convince you that I think that we should have online books and not, we should have the textbooks and not use venues or online books. And there's several reasons for that. One of my main reasons, and I feel personal about this because I've seen it with my own children, is it hurts family involvement in homework. I find it difficult to help my children do their homework, and because it centers completely around their venues is what they're given at their particular school. It's not as easy as if they had a textbook and we could sit down and just open up the book and read the chapters together. Or I could read a chapter so I know what she had to study and then work with her on it. Everything's online, her homework interface is online, and it immediately feels like a very isolated it feels like an isolated situation. It doesn't feel like I can really help her. It's not very conducive to helping. One of the issues that I think with that too is I myself am very technically savvy. So when she has issues, I'm able to help her with them. She's accidentally hit keys before and the screen disappeared, something's happened, she couldn't get connected. I can handle those things. I have plenty of people in my life that I know can't handle those things, and they have children. Some of you in this room. But for that reason then, as a parent, you're going to have anxiety about that. You don't even feel like you can help your kid properly with their homework because it's technically over your head. And I do know that there's plenty of people who live in a household that isn't technically advanced. So that's another drawback. Instead of the traditional school book where if you had to help your child study history, you could sit down and read the chapter and then help your kid study for it. But if your kid has a venue like my children did, and it won't work, and it won't turn on, and it won't do that, how do you do homework? In many situations, I even called the school and asked if we could have a set of books at home because I prefer a book. And they said they no longer even ordered them. So I don't think that's good. I don't think that that's going to help people learn properly. I also think that's hurting families because it's not even an option really for you to sit down with your kid and help them with homework. And for all the different ways that people say our families are deteriorating, that's a way that our school is pushing our children to not even have their parents involved in their own homework. The other problem I see with it, and again this has happened to my family personally, is the Wi-Fi dependency. Everybody doesn't have Wi-Fi. I'd say most do. I'd say even 90% probably do. But I know I personally have had my Wi-Fi go out for no reason, and they have to fix it. Sometimes they have to come fix it. Sometimes you have to wait till you get a service call. But the fact of the matter is, if my daughter's got a homework assignment and myself in school with online assignments, and I have no Wi-Fi, we literally can't do our homework. We've got to get in a car and go to McDonald's or something and get the Wi-Fi. Again, this is a burden on the whole family. Now, if your child isn't 15 and has their own car and drives, now you physically have to take your kid to go get their homework done. Again, if they had a school book, they could just do their book. It also prevents from doing it on the fly. I know that I take my books with me places. Mainly I know I can get Wi-Fi almost everywhere. But, when you think about you're going to go on a car trip, or you're going to go to grandma's house, or you're going to go to the beach or whatever, and you say, well, you could do a little studying. They literally can't do that. They need a plug. They need Wi-Fi. You can't see a screen out in the sunshine. So now we've limited where a child can even complete their homework. Reviewing tests for exams and so forth is way more difficult. And it leads the children to look for shortcuts. They can Google answers. They don't have to look them up anymore, per se, in a book or memorize them. And they take a lot of their tests online because the school book's online. So now they're not writing. So now our kids aren't reading, and they're not writing. They're clicking. And unless they're insured a job that that's what they're going to do, we're already setting them back on skills that they're going to need for the rest of their life. Power goes out. Wi-Fi goes down. I was at a doctor's appointment last week at a hospital. All the personal computers went down, and a doctor literally wrote my medical notes on a napkin because she couldn't even find a piece of paper because they pride themselves in being paperless. We're talking about my medical care, and my doctor needed to find a piece of paper. You know, that's a scary situation, and that's where this is pushing everyone to be so green and so paperless. But in the end, it can be a problem. I also think because the school gives you the venue, in the case of my family, and you have to sign that you're a $50 insurance policy. Well, that was something else that I had to pay for. That also meant students whose families couldn't pay for it weren't allowed to take their venue home. It's just another point of discrimination that kids have to face in school. Every kid knows who couldn't take their venue home. It's just something else now that the kids can be singled out for when kids have enough to deal with already. And that $50 that particular week wasn't an easy thing for me to do. But I had to do it or my daughters couldn't even bring their homework home. So that to me is another big hurdle in this. Another big hurdle that we faced is broken equipment. I mean, let's face it, you could even get a book wet, you could dry it out. These venues go down and break or won't charge, they have to turn them in. We spent more time trying to get ours to charge than my daughter was able to do homework. Now in our particular case, she got her logins and she was able to log in from one of our computers. But there again, does every family have a spare computer sitting around that now their child can do their homework on every evening? I mean, if it's mom or dad's work laptop, does it have firewalls that they're not even allowed to use it for those purposes? But we were faced with that. But my alternative was my kid couldn't do her homework. So again, it was a burden on my family to figure out a way around because we couldn't get the school book home. The other issue that I also found was even if I had my child doing her homework, say, in the living room so that I could feel like I could monitor it and be somewhat involved, she's watching videos. Most of the pages that she has to go to, you can click a read aloud button. So it's literally reading the book to her. And no shock when she says she's not comprehending it. It's very distracting. And the distraction is another real problem. I saw on a website that was talking about, it's a website called College Readiness. And they've done several studies. And they said that one of their big issues that they saw with hitting the collegiate level is the financial end of it. And I have an example of that for myself. This was my Spanish access code. It was $200, roughly. I can't sell this back. I can't reuse it. I can't do anything with it. Now, this was my criminal investigation book. Because it's a hard copy book, the school has a program where I rented it. So I use the book for the semester, and I only pay $45. And then I take it back at the end of the semester. So I didn't even have to buy and resell. They can't do that with any e-book or online access codes. So if I didn't have financial help with the student loan programs that allowed me to cover my books, look at that price difference. My Spanish class was $200 because I could only get an access code versus, I think it was $40 or $50 to rent a textbook for the season. So that's another big problem. I also see with kids using venues versus doing a lot of the reading and writing themselves is grammar and spell check. I already can tell you I'm so guilty of, I don't even bother to try to learn how to spell anything because it underlines it, something tells me, my iPhone fixes it, I don't have to know how to spell. I can't spell very well at all. I assure you the kids graduating from high school right now could spell anything. You think about it, they don't have anything where they have to write out a word. So Spelling is basically going to be a lost skill. There's a lot of talk about cursive writing. Nobody's going to be able to spell either. We thought it was bad when they started letting all of us use calculators. We were all never going to be able to add and subtract. Well, the basics are still pretty difficult for me at sometimes, but I can do it. But learning to spell, they've never even had to. They're not even having to learn grammar rules because, again, they get a wavy line and they can hit grammar check and Word fixes it for them. So we're not advancing our children with this technology. We might actually be dumbing them down. It's also a huge avenue for distraction. You think about social media, Facebook, email. If they're sitting there trying to do their homework and it pops up that they got an email, you think they're not going to click it? But if they were sitting somewhere with their textbook, they wouldn't know they got the email. You could at least try to control that for them and help them. Maybe have a no phone rule while you do your homework or something. But if their homework is literally binging in their face, it's going to be pretty difficult for them not to be distracted. Another article that I read on Huffington Post said that a study was conducted by the Guardian Company, and they tested all these students. They gave half of them an iPad and half of them a book and had them read it and then had them talk about it and give a review. The students who read it on iPads had all okay reviews, did not emotionally connect at all. The students who read it all had really great descriptions. They felt connected to characters. It was a completely different impact on them, and they read the exact same passages. So there's an emotional disconnect when you're reading it on the screen. And it's been proven. Again, that's not something we want. You want your kids to say have a passion for reading. How many of them have even held a book? And now they don't even get to do it in school. Another article that I saw talked about the pros and the cons. And while there are many pros and cons for ebooks, some people argue, well, it's less bulky, it's saving paper. I think the cons are outweighing the pros. I think we're dumbing down our children, and I don't think that we're doing them any favors in the world of technology. I think at this point our kids are going to use technology no matter what. It doesn't have to be every day at school. So I hope I've given everybody something to think about. And that's everything. Thank you. Oh, my finger's part of it. Everyone is still present.